Hi guys, today we're going to talk about adrenal insufficiency and low cortisol. I have a lot of videos on the adrenal gland and cortisol. I put some links down below. There's a lot of information on this, but I want to talk about a condition called Addison's, which is an autoimmune condition and what causes that. Now, the interesting thing about this condition is that the gland, the outside of the gland, you have two adrenals. You have an outside and an inside. And the outside of the gland has to be about 90% destroyed before you really start seeing the major complications. So by the time you have a full-blown Addison's, that gland is pretty well destroyed. And you're not able to output cortisol and several other hormones. So there are a lot of different symptoms, but the main are fatigue, weakness, weight loss, okay? When you have high cortisol, you'll actually gain weight. Low cortisol, you actually lose weight. You can't sleep, salt cravings like crazy. If you have low cortisol, adrenal insufficiency, you need to be consuming a lot of sea salt. And you don't want to be consuming a lot of potassium, especially if you're not taking enough sea salt. You need some potassium, but the more potassium you have, the less sodium you're going to have because they work on kind of a teeter-totter. So if you take potassium, you better be taking sea salt as well. Also, you have no tolerance to stress. You're highly irritable, and your body just doesn't have that cortisol to counter stress. Cortisol is a fascinating hormone. It helps the body to respond to stress, all stress states. It has like 200 different functions, but this is one of them right here, in different organs, in different situations. Also, it helps your blood pressure. When the cortisol is low, your blood pressure will go low. When the cortisol is high, your blood pressure tends to go high. It also will slow the immune response. So it's a good anti-inflammatory. It suppresses the white blood cell. And this is why in autoimmune conditions, in infections, and all types of pain and arthritis, itching, allergies, they use prednisone or cortisone shots because that suppresses the immune system. And the next one, it counters insulin. So think about this right here, okay? So we have our blood sugars right here. We eat some food, okay? Insulin kicks in right here and pushes down the blood sugars. Now, it's not really good to have excessively low blood sugars, so cortisol comes in there to help your survival, because that would be a stress, and will start to elevate this blood sugar to keep it up through here by releasing sugar and turning protein into sugar. That's what it does. So it actually prevents and counters hypoglycemia and brings the sugars back here. The problem, if it's too high, okay, it will actually raise your blood sugars way over here and kind of nullify insulin to some degree and keep your sugars high, and then creates more insulin production and you can become a diabetic. But when you have low cortisol, you don't have this countering effect, so you could end up with hypoglycemia. So you have a lot of problems with that. Now, what causes Addison's? Well, several things. Number one is TB, tuberculosis. Okay, that's a big one. I don't know if you knew this, but 25% of the population has TB, and 90% of them actually have no symptoms. This bacteria lies dormant, and it can kind of get reactivated later in life. So only 10% of this group have the symptoms. And the most common symptoms, chronic cough, blood in the mucus, fever, night sweats, weight loss. And the primary target for TB is the lungs, but it can also go in other places as well. In fact, the number one cause of death from infections is from TB. When you have TB, you usually always have low vitamin D. So taking vitamin D is one of the best remedies to deal with TB. And I would recommend taking at least 20,000 IUs, maybe 30,000, maybe even 40,000. That would be a very good thing to do. Also, when you have Addison's, you're also going to have low vitamin D too. So vitamin D can act like cortisol. So it's not even really considered a vitamin. It has hormone qualities and it acts like cortisol. So vitamin D is really vital for anyone with an adrenal insufficiency or low cortisol situation. Also, taking B vitamins, especially B1, very important for stress. And that brings up another cause of Addison's, is stress or trauma. Could be physical, it could be mental stress, a sudden loss, but it's usually some type of huge shock to the system where the adrenal glands can shut down. Now, the other thing is when you're taking prednisone over a long period of time, that weakens the gland, and then you can actually end up with that condition. Also, if you are taking prednisone or cortisone for a period of time and you stop taking it too suddenly, that can actually induce this condition too. Funguses can also cause Addison's. And the last thing I want to mention, if you have adrenal insufficiency or low cortisol, you need to be consuming a lot more sea salt, okay? Way more than an average person, because you're losing the salt and you're always craving salt because you need the salt to keep the volume of fluid there. You need the salt for your electrolytes in your body. There's many, many purposes for that. All right, and the last thing I want to show you is a great technique that I want to teach you that can help you with your stress. So let's kind of roll right into it. All right, we saved the best for last. Okay, so what we're going to do, these points are a problem for everyone. The adrenal glands are deep, very deep on top of the kidney, deep in the abdomen, okay? So there's no way we can contact the adrenals. However, there's a lot of acupressure points around this. There's a lot of nerve points around the adrenals in this area. And in Chinese medicine, there's acupressure points that go right along the side. We're going to be kind of tapping into that and releasing a lot of the stress in this area around the adrenals. So her belly button is right here, okay? So we're going to just go right to the right of it, her right, and down about 1 inch, and we're going to press down in here. Now, I'm showing you how to do it on someone else, but we're going to show you how to do it on yourself. So I like to take my thumb and my middle finger again. I'm not flipping you off, and I'm going to press down in here to her tolerance, and I'm actually trying to find some tenderness. This isn't too bad. So if I don't feel any tenderness, I'm going to kind of sneak up a little bit, and I'm going to do all these points up on this line about 1 inch off the midline. Okay, so we're going to come in here, press in here, and I'm going to go to the left and to the right a little bit just to kind of find these stress pockets. Okay, let's see if I can find these. Yeah, she has a couple right here. And then once I find it, I'll just hold it for a little bit until it releases. And what I'm doing is I'm extracting stress from this area of her body. And this produces some really cool effects. Relaxation, sleep. Like I've had people have the best sleep in their life. So this is a really important area of the body that like no one works on. So now as I'm coming up to the right side, you do have the gallbladder on the right side, but that's kind of tucked through this area. It's not gonna be a problem when you press on that. You just have to press to the tolerance of the person so that you're not going too deep because it could be sore. Again, that's why I like to have you do this on yourself so you can adjust the pressure so you're not going too deep. So some people say, well, is it dangerous to press in your abdomen? I'm like, no. Why would it be? Was it dangerous to press in your muscle in your thigh? I mean, you have a layer of fat, okay, and you also have, I didn't mean to say that, everyone has like a layer of fat, and then the organs are tucked in there with a lot of connective tissue, and I've been doing this for like 29 years, and it's not a problem, it's pretty safe. Get in there, but like you massage your muscles, but how many times do you work on the muscles in your abdomen? Like rarely. And some of the organs, like the kidneys and the liver points, I mean, people never work on these points, but I'm coming through here, right up through in here on this side, and I do find some tension. I'm just going to press on that a little bit until it releases. And of course, I'm going a little bit faster than I normally would because sometimes I'll spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes just on the right side. Okay, how does that feel?
Good.
Does it feel uncomfortable?
No.
Okay, good. So now I'm going to go to the opposite side and press on that. Now, if the person has low back pain, what you do is you press on the exact opposite side on the front. Bam, gone. So you want to find out where it's hurting on the back, Like just draw a line right through it and press in the front. It gets rid of the low back pain like that. So on every one, you're going to find like 1 or 2 points that are really, really tight. And then you'll work on those more aggressively. So I'm going to press in here and just kind of work that out. And on some people, it'll be very, very tender, so you want to go kind of light on them. Some people have they have a huge belly. You can still do this, but you will, because you're working on the superficial points more than anything that connect. Because an acupressure point, do you know what an acupressure point is?
No.
Okay. An acupressure point is an area on the surface of the skin that kind of connects on the inside. You have all these electrical circuits, so it's kind of like a switchboard. I can press this point and it can affect inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm falling asleep.
Are you? Good, so it's working. So, so a lot of these are nerve points. Kind of, you can look at them like nerve points because they really are. So acupressure points are communication channels. If you take a look at the nervous system being the freeway, the acupressure points are the side roads. So they're just other forms of communication that you can affect. Like right through in here. This is a good one. And if you think about the last time you were stressed, I will guarantee you have a lot of tension in your abdomen after that, and you'll feel like, why is it so hard in there? Because you have the adrenaline, the adrenals pumping a lot of hormones, and then it tightens up all the muscles. You start working on that, it gets rid of stress. So what we're doing now is we're handling, she's sleeping now, we're handling physical stress that is stuck in your body for years. I mean, probably what, 30 years? 35 years?
Yeah, right?
Now, you have some people that have never experienced stress in their life. And I'm like, do you live on planet Earth? And other people have experienced a tremendous amount. But if I keep doing this and I'm just holding these pressure points, like I'm trying to keep a broad content. I'm not like digging up, like look at how wide my thumb is, okay? I have huge thumbs. So that comes in handy. So, but if you have this little tiny thumb, that could be, it's like sticking a little thing in there, it could irritate the area. So you want to keep a broad contact, almost like take your 2 fingers and kind of separate them out and press in there. And, okay, good. Good. So now you ready for a nap?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So let's bring the next person up. Thank you very much. Okay, so just relax your arms right here. Where's your belly button?
Right there.
Okay, so we're going to just start, and again, 1 inch off the midline, taking my 2 fingers, and you can use your thumb or several fingers to equal the size of the thumb if you don't have a thumb like mine. And come right in there. And we're just going to work out. He has some tension in here. Have you ever experienced stress before?
Stress? Nah, not
No?
really.
Okay. It's a new concept for people, but right through there. So we're just going to press in there. And again, I'm watching the eyeballs to make sure they don't pop out because I don't want to press too hard. And then so each time I do this, I might do it a couple times a week or maybe once a week. Each time I do this, I'm going to feel like less and less tension to the point where I go right in there and like there's nothing. There's no resistance. So that's the goal. So if you can do it on yourself, I would do it every night before you go to bed. Now I'm going fast for time, but I wanted to see if there's any, let's see right through in there. That's kind of a tight spot right there. Okay, now I'm going to do the opposite side. If the right side is not sore, chances are the opposite side will be sore. It's always going to be one or the other. So if you find that there's like 1 or 2 points that you find that's constantly sore, those are the points that you're going to focus on. So that's just kind of an example. Now, let's say he was going to do it to himself. He'd use this treatment device. And it has these longer prongs than the shorter ones. You want to use the long one. You'd want to have him grab the tool, and now we're going to position this little thing right on this point. Okay, so I want you to kind of press just like you felt me doing it, and tell me if you can feel the same kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Feel that?
Am I supposed to be like moving up?
Well, yeah. Just start with one point and just press in there. Does it feel similar?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And the reason why it feels similar is because I developed this tool after my thumb for myself. Because, like, I was the last guy to get treatments. I never got treatment. So I'm like, I'm going to do it myself. So I developed this device that mimics my hand, because we're going to show you the neck points as well. And we just come in here. And then he would, before he goes to bed, right? He's in his bed. He puts this point on there. And try to actually get through all of it without falling asleep. But by the time he gets all the way to the top, I mean, so many times I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, wow, where's that device? It's right next to me. I almost rolled on it. Like I literally fall asleep while I'm doing this, because it's releasing a lot of stress. Is it creating any effect on you yet?
Yeah, it's very comfortable.
Yeah. It's interesting how it gives people so much relief. I think because you have the kidneys in there, you have the solar plexus, which are all these nerve connections, you have all these connections to the adrenal points, you have the gallbladder, the digestion. Have you heard of the flight or fight mode? Have you ever heard of the flight or fight? Okay, it's called the sympathetic nervous system. That's like the stress mode. Then you have another system, and I'm going to give you this big word. It's called enteric. And that's part of the system that's below your awareness that actually runs all your digestion. And that's really another system that we're tapping into right now. We're actually stimulating it to relax. A lot of stuff that's going on in your gut, nerve-wise, can affect your head. Like if you ate the wrong thing and you feel bloated, you're going to feel funky in the head. How many of you experienced that? Yeah. So your digestion can affect your mood. Big time. There's a connection. So when you release the tension in your gut, especially if you have like IBS or irritable bowel syndrome or inflammation that creates like spasms, it gives you a lot of relief in the head. Now, when we come up to these points right through in here, like on his right side, it's a little sore, right?
Yeah.
So now you adjust the pressure so it's just right for you. He's hitting something called the phrenic nerve that goes right up to his diaphragm, up to the right neck. He's going to release all the right neck tension. So the more he does this point here, he's going to have like less tension on the right side up here. Even like headaches will go away on the right side, shoulder stuff. So anything right here will melt this side right here. If he does the other side, he'll actually releases the other side here. Okay? How's that feel?
Really good.
Okay, good. So now he'll do the other side here. Take your belly button and just go right to the side of it. And you want to go, see how I'm rocking left and right? And you just find the spot. Find the sweet spot where it's like, ooh, that's a little thing that smarts. And you just, now don't do this with a knife, okay? Don't do that with a sharp object. Use it, the massage tool. That I'm just joking. Delayed humor here. But it'll, you want to use something that's kind of like a dull point. And, okay, and then you just kind of inch up a little bit. A little sore?
Yeah, right.
So this is something he would need to do every single night, and to the point where there's no soreness. And he would find that his ability to relax. Like recently I saw this, so I was watching this movie. It was Lincoln. I mean, here's a guy who, his dad beat him growing up. His mom died. I think his sister and his brother died. And then his first wife, or first love died. And then several of his kids died. I mean, like, can you imagine how many losses this guy had, right? And then he becomes the president, which is a no-stress job. I mean, he was, I think, I'm 53. He was like 53. He looked like a grandfather. He was look old. So stress, believe it or not, does age you. I'm going to put some yours, give you some gray hairs, especially if you have kids. So this basically kind of pulls the stress out so you can go back into life and recharge and start over again. Because you don't want to just keep carrying the stress around your whole life. Might as well kind of have a blank slate, clean it out, because our bodies are sponges and we pick up stress. I think he's actually asleep. Did you fall asleep?
No, I'm not.
Did you fall asleep?
Yeah, I did. Got it right.
See, it worked.
I'm not gonna lie.
And he did it to himself. I didn't even do anything. Yeah, so this is a really amazing. So a lot of you guys watching already have the tool, because I actually hear the success. If you don't have this tool, you need to get it. Because I fly, everywhere I go, I travel, I bring it with me. In the plane, I do my neck points. Because you sit on these little, I mean, you flew to California, right? And you're trying to, with your neck, get this thing out, sit back, and just kind of just, like, I'll have people like, where did you get that? Can I borrow that? I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm going to keep it on my neck. So it's good for that, and also for jet lag, because you can actually work on these points and kind of rejuvenate yourself. Okay, then we come to this point, like right through in here. Is that a little sore? Yeah. Yeah, and then he's going to work on that, and then what will happen is you're going to feel like you're going to take layers of this stuff off, and it could take a while. And if you had like a fight with your spouse, you could find that you can like put the stress back in, but at least you have the tool to pull it out.
You said throw it at him?
No.
Oh, you?
You have the tool as not as a weapon, but as a therapy to help yourself so you can sleep, so you're not thinking about it all night long. Or you can throw it at him too. Yeah, it's plastic, it won't break, don't worry about it. I'm just kidding, you don't want to throw it on your spouse. Okay, good, so now tell me, just sit up for me for a second. Face the camera. How do you feel?
A little lightheaded, but I feel a lot better.
Yeah. Do you feel like more stress-free?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
I feel more relaxed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the goal. Thank you. We did it. Okay. Appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed, click the red button below and that little bell icon so you can be notified of all the new videos that I'm going to be releasing. And I have some very cool and interesting videos coming up in the next coming weeks. Plus, in addition to that, you'll be notified of the live Q&A sessions that I'm going to be doing throughout the week, and you don't want to miss those as well. So stay tuned for more great content.